Hi, good morning. My name is Nigel McPolin, and I'm an organisational psychologist and CEO of eTimes 2 Limited. So, welcome along to my little presentation here. And in this presentation, I'm going to talk quickly about some of the common misconceptions that exist in the world of employee engagement and how we drive employee engagement in our organisations. And by these misconceptions, I'm referring to those big ticket events, those actions and strategies that we put in place that appear to be the right thing to do at the right time. But in the end, they only serve to cloud our judgment and cloud our view of what really drives engagement in our businesses. And these are what I like to call the fog. So in this session, we will look at why those big ticket events won't increase engagement, why they create that cloud in front of our understanding. The whole idea that employee engagement is a shared responsibility issue, not just the ownership of senior management or HR within an organization, that every employee needs to take ownership of their engagement. And look at the end at what really drives engagement in our organizations. So what's happening now? And this is what I like to call the fog. This is what creates the fog. So we all know, everybody is aware that there's a big focus on employee engagement and increasing engagement within our organizations and businesses. And this has been going on for a couple of decades now. And it's a good thing. It's a great thing, actually. Highly engaged employees or more engaged employees are happier. They're more productive. They take less time off. They want to do well. So they bring a lot of that to their jobs. It creates a better image for our brand and our organizations. So it's more attractive to potential talent that we want to recruit, and it helps us retain the talent that we already have. So the downside to this, while there's this rush for employee engagement, it means that a lot of employers look towards these big ticket events, these glossy, attractive things like doing the social events and putting on the beer and pizza on a Friday, CSR, which is a good thing, but again, there's a time and place. So again, these things are seen as a key strategy for engagement. I prefer to think of them as the finishing touches to engagement. So again, there's not as much substance to them as we need, but there's a time and place for each of them. But in the wrong place, they put the fog in front of our eyes. Why do they put the fog in front of our eyes? It's because they're actually creating the image that the engagement is responsibility solely for the employer, that the employer must do things to engage each employee. And that's an impossible position for the employer to be in. It's very difficult for you to engage someone who has decided that their best strategy for surviving the workplace is to detach themselves somewhat from it, come in, punch in their 9 to 5 or whatever their hours might be, get their job done to a sufficient standard and quantity that'll keep them out of trouble, and go home again in the evening and pick up their wage whenever that's ready. So again, that's a difficult position for you to be in, and you want to avoid that. Engagement is a shared responsibility between the employer and the employee. Each person and each party needs to play their part. And if either one of those parties decide not to play their part, well then it isn't happening. Engagement won't happen for that person. So there's ways and means to look at that. So what do I mean by the finishing touches? I often refer to these big ticket events as the icing on the cake. It's the things we do at the end. They work well for employees who are already engaged. Those employees will make the best of these events. They will network, they will discuss, they will learn, they will get their name and their talent seen in the organization through these events. So it works well for them. But we all know that the majority of employees report as somewhat less than engaged. So how do they work for those guys? And that's a major question. And those are the guys that we want to target. It's the disengaged and the less than engaged that we want to target and bring more on board. And again, these big ticket events are missing those guys. So again, you see some examples here of the type of events that I'm talking about. Decorating your desk had a big push there a couple of years back. Decorate your desk as you please. Putting on gourmet food in the staff restaurant. Beer and pizza on a Friday, as I was already chatting about. Social events, a pool table. So part of the attraction of these events is that they are attractive. They're relatively easy to put on. Might be expensive, but they throw some money at it, and these things will happen. The other attraction to them is that, of course, you want your employees to know that you're taking engagement seriously. So you put on these events so that they can see your seriousness and your commitment and your budgetary commitment to engagement. Again, which is all good. They're even better if they're put in the right place within your engagement strategy, and that's part of what we're going to talk about. So again, we see now how do your less engaged employees feel about those types of events. The truth be told, they see them as a tick box exercise. So they know that these events are put on to engage them. They will get distracted by them while they're happening. So yes, I love my beer and pizza on a Friday, but I know on Monday morning I have to return back to the environment which disengages me in the first place. So nothing is being done about the actual disengager. Okay, so we can see now that employee engagement can't be solved by a one-size-fits-all strategy. We all talk about our person-centered approaches, yet most engagement strategies do fit the one-size-fits-all description. So what do we do with that? We need to look at individualizing our engagement strategies. Each individual employee needs to be empowered to take shared responsibility for his or her own engagement. And that's what's going to help us see through the fog created by our drive towards these big ticket events. We need to look at what's really driving engagement right throughout our organization. And that means empowering each person to look at their own engagement needs. What will it take for them to be engaged? What does each person need to drive his or her own engagement? What are they looking for from their job? What are they looking for from their career? And that's what we're referring to when we talk about empowering people to express their identity in work. Not through coloured ribbons on a desk, not through decorating a workspace. So empowering somebody and enabling somebody to express themselves through the work that they do, how they go about doing that work. The quality and the quantity, the collaboration with other people, the ability to overcome challenges, how they work with other people and build those great working relationships that will carry them through a career, and how they communicate with other people, how they communicate with their customers. These are the things that we want people to recognize when they're thinking about expressing their identity in the workplace, finding their meaning in their job, finding the meaning in the work that they do. Every one of us wants to feel accomplished in the career or profession that we've chosen. We want people around us to think that we are good at what we do. And that's something in our favour when we're trying to engage employees. We want to help those guys maximise their talent at all times and to keep on developing that talent. So I'll give you an example here. This is one of my favourites. It's a small thing with big implications. As a client we were working with, and 300 employees, not a massive organisation. When we ran our engagement survey and follow-up pulse questions, one of the pulse questions was that we asked employees, what would it take for you to be more engaged? And most employers back away from those types of questions because they fear that employees are going to say, well, I want more money, or I want more holidays, or I want better terms and conditions, or all this expensive stuff. 10% of these respondents, and this full 10% of respondents, fell into the disengaged category in our survey. They asked for more work. They asked for interesting and challenging work that will give them a chance for future promotion opportunities. They weren't looking to guarantee those opportunities, they were looking to be given a chance to compete when the opportunity arose. Employees are clever, they're experienced, they know what way things work. They know that, asking for more money and all that isn't really going to happen, but they know they can enhance their careers. These guys all wanted a career with their current employer. Just to note, they were geographically dispersed, so they weren't talking to each other. This wasn't a sort of a strategy among employees. These guys, some of them didn't even know each other. So again, this was a common theme across the disengaged population within the organisation. So what they specifically didn't want was to be sent on training courses all the time just as a career enhancement. They wanted work, they wanted projects, they wanted to be seen, and they wanted to stay with their company. The disengaged employees did not want to leave. We always say disengaged employees have an ask. They want something. They're disengaged because they're not getting it, and it's usually something reasonably straightforward, as we see here. What they specifically didn't want as well was the big ticket events. They didn't want the social events. They wanted, to go home on a Friday. They didn't want the beer and pizza. They didn't want to be forced to spend that time in that situation. So again, that's one to think carefully about. So again, there's a nice finding for our company. This made a big difference, and when we started putting this into place, the savings in terms of downtime between tasks, in terms of absenteeism, were amazing. And here we have it from one of the big players, Laszlo Bock, the Senior Vice President for People Operations at Google. And Laszlo is confirming here that people don't want the perks. They don't have any impact. The pool table and the gourmet food and all that, they're nice to haves. They're not essentials. What people want is a job with meaning. They want to do something that means something proper. And that's a nice way to sort of look at employee engagement. So just to finish off, all I want to ask you is, what are you doing to provide your people with work that means something? Simple question. And what are you going to do to help each person find meaning in their job? Okay, and that's not the job that they're doing now. So how can you help them get more interest, get more challenge, and to find their identity there? So we're now at the end of our presentation. I trust I've given you some food for thought, and I hope that you've enjoyed this. I would dearly love to hear from you, to your comments, your thoughts, your views. And I'd also love if you signed up to our newsletter. There's a box at the right hand side of the screen for you to opt in. So please take some time and get all our little tips and guidance direct to your inbox. So in the meantime, I'd love to wish you a very good day, and all the best to the next time. Thank you very much.